Hello everyone, 76 Patriot here. And after the debate on Thursday, Democrats are in a state of panic. And I just want to discuss this. It's been prominent in the media. It's something that needs to be talked about, I think. And basically, there is reasonable speculation due to Biden's awful performance and also the increasing realization that he is mentally not there. There is, a lot of talk among Democrats, some division. And this even says that, Democrats anguish over Biden's debate performance on full display. There's obviously a lot of calls for people to replace him. There's also a lot of calls, these are from within the Democratic Party. It's also a lot of calls to kind of still stay strong behind him. And I found this really interesting. So, even a lot of House Democrats, it was a profanity, it was a disaster, one member said, adding a lot of members believe Biden should suspend his campaign. Now, this is, I think, a growing sentiment among liberals, among Democrats. And, of course, people are, Pelosi, he got off to a bad start, but he came through okay on the issues later. There's a lot of people like that are kind of towing the line and still kind of defending him, at least, on paper. But we'll see what actually happens. I mean, heck, Jim Clyburn, who many people credit for saving his primary campaign due to getting him in South Carolina, his supporters out, said his performance was strike one. That's not a good sign, but he added Democrats should stay the course, blah, blah, blah. So we can see Democrats are really running scared, and they have, they always say that Republicans, we are such a divided party, and they're united. They have a lot of soul searching to do, I think. Because, also if we even go like CNN, what would happen if Biden decided to leave the race? Now, I don't think he's going to decide anything. I don't think a choice is really his to make. And this is interesting because I'm kind of conflicted, honestly, on this issue too, guys. I could see, honestly, I'm shifting to the viewpoint that Biden may be replaced. I wasn't there a couple days ago when I made one of my last videos. I just didn't think that. Now that it seems to be coming a possible reality. I'm still not sure. The problem is delegates basically have to back, and we can see right here, delegates aren't just pledged to vote for Biden, they're approved by his campaign. So while a majority of convention delegates could decide to pick a new nominee, doing so would require massive defections from the president's own supporters. Now, that's definitely possible, I think, based on the movement kind of away from Biden that we're seeing. The only kind of catch is it's so late at this point in time. Who else would you put up? And of course, we talk about Newsom. Many people think he would be the front runner. Harris, she would probably lose worse than Biden would. I think a lot of people expect that. The only issue is that basically, from what I know, and I'm not any kind of a political insider. Obviously, I'm just a guy making YouTube videos. But from what I've heard, it basically sounds like at the DNC, the Democratic Convention, rather, delegates they've pledged to vote for the winners of whoever won the primaries. And Biden obviously won them all, not handily necessarily, but he won them. So it would be a massive break from precedent. We would have not really seen anything like this in the modern era. However, who's to say that won't happen? Anything can happen in American politics these days. We've really seen crazy stuff happen in the past several years. And this is also good. Let's pause that. Who will Democrats replace Biden? I honestly don't know. If you kind of looked at me, if you listened to me like a week or 2 weeks ago, you asked my thoughts on this, I would say, sure, there might be a few people thinking that, but it's not happening. Now I'm at the point, I'm actually getting to a 50-50. The only thing, I think there are getting more and more high-ranking, high-profile Democrats, donors, strategists, all these people that realize what a failure or what a disaster it would be. Really an unmitigated disaster. I mean, if he could not redeem himself during the first debate, Biden, considering his already slipping support in the polls and fundraising and compared to Trump and whatever, that was kind of his last shot. And so I think a lot of people are seeing this, there is no really possible other shot for him to kind of redeem himself in the eyes of the American public and really make a strong case to the voters. And I think people are having a lot of kind of fear about the future because if they run him as the candidate, they're going to do horrible. The problem is, could they do, and this is what I like this article kind of says, some Democrats seem to think they're stuck with Biden. There will be a cost to pushing Biden aside. It will take a lot of advertising to introduce a new candidate. And that's true. Just switching him out with somebody else. I mean, either way, I'd say the Democrats are in an unwinnable situation as of right now. Sure, things could change. But either way, you're stuck with Biden, who is a terrible candidate, and in my opinion, as of right now, would lose to Trump by quite a decent margin. Even if you get rid of him and switch him out, there's a risk. And this article says right here, as there always is, that a new person will implode because of a previously undetected scandal, or maybe they have an issue with their debate or news conference. This is absolutely true. This is not foolproof, even if they switch him out with the best person that they got, who, I don't know, they think maybe that's Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer. It's not entirely foolproof, Nobody is perfect. And honestly, anybody, again, they don't really have a bench, the problem is, against Trump, against somebody who is incredibly popular. Now with almost all demographics, he's increasing his support among particularly independents. So it's going to be really hard to field someone. I don't know. And yeah, no one is excited about voting for Biden. Absolutely. And this is the problem. Biden won, and we can obviously talk about election integrity and that stuff as well, which is important. But Biden won, and this is definitely partly true because enough Americans were disgusted or they didn't like Donald Trump. So they weren't voting necessarily for Biden. They were just voting against Trump. Now, I'll definitely skip this part of the article that is very anti-Trump. But the problem is, who do you have? People say Gretchen Whitmer, Josh Shapiro. I think that they're okay. But the problem is, this leads to my next article. Who could replace Joe Biden? Here's 6 possibilities. So this is what's really being talked about in American politics. Harris definitely would probably make this election a lot worse for Democrats, I think, than Biden. I think she'd be at the worst. She is such an awful speaker, awful debater, literally has no clue what she's doing. Is probably the most incompetent vice president, possibly in all of American history, but certainly within the 21st century. And she's just a train wreck. So definitely no. I mean, heck, Trump would win, I think, Virginia, Minnesota, I think a bunch of states if she was in the ballot, hands down. Gavin Newsom definitely could have some appeal to moderates. I'm not denying that. He's kind of that slick kind of actor persona almost. He's a very good talker, except I don't necessarily know if he's a great debater. I'm not sure. But, I mean, he would probably be their best candidate, honestly. J.B. Pritzker, no, I'm not even going to waste my time with that. Awful this person. Gretchen Whitmer, again, she is not a incredibly, just because she won by huge margins, I'm not discounting that, both of her gubernatorial races. However, the problem is, once people actually know what she stands for, she's not exactly, I mean, sure, she could get just as much support as Obama did in like 2008. I just don't think so. I think we're in too polarized of a country for that to happen, for these big landslide elections to happen anymore. I don't know. Sherrod Brown, no, he's probably going to lose anyways. Dean Phillips, well, that's kind of old news. He already lost his primary. But these are definitely, the Democrat Party has some soul searching to do. And Biden is, his family is telling him to stay in the race, even as calls to exit grow. And so he met with them on Sunday, I believe, so yesterday, as of the recording of this video, at Camp David. This actually talks about it, this article. And the trip was planned long in advance, blah, blah, blah. Move past some of this stuff. But basically, the problem is, and actually I read a report just today that said, and I'm not sure if it's true, could have been some kind of clickbait, but I read it on X, actually, from a fairly credible source that there's several of Biden's family members that urged him to fire kind of incompetent people around him. And it's interesting just to see that people do believe that some kind of a shakeup is needed. However, his family does want him to keep going. Who knows why? Maybe so they can just keep getting all the government money and influence. But this is interesting. One of his grandchildren is intrigued by the idea of the family increasing its presence on the campaign trail. Yeah, I really don't think that's going to do much, considering that a lot of them should probably be in jail. But that is basically all I'm going to say on that topic. But so this really brings us back to the question, will Biden be replaced? And I don't know. So this video might be a little bit, this title of this video might be a bit misleading. I don't have an answer. Nobody does. However, I will say it has gotten much more, in my opinion, at least, to a 50-50 topic. Kind of 50-50, chances. Again, if you'd have asked me a couple weeks ago, I would be like, well, possibly, but it's a long shot. I think now I'm getting to where I actually don't, I don't know. The only question is really, can they do it? Can they do it in the amount of time they have left at the convention? Will there be enough defectors, delegates, that officially vote to choose someone else? And who will they choose? That's really the question. So we're all in for this ride. We're all in to see, what is going to happen. So we'll just have to watch and see what happens during the convention and in the news before that time. So that's it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.